At the time this video was recorded, over 420 aftershocks are reported following the 7.1 magnitude quake in Ridgecrest, California. The quake centered around the secret underground naval weapons development facility allegedly under China Lake in Ridgecrest, California. Since so many aftershocks following an earthquake in less than 48 hours is unheard of, it has been alleged that the quakes are in reality underground explosions in the many subterranean tunnels and facilities associated with the Navy Waffenfabrik, or weapons factory, allegedly under China Lake. Some have reported that the deep state facilities are being destroyed. Some say the White Hats are responsible. Others allege the deep state is destroying the sites in the knowledge of the imminent D-class that will end their 55-year secret coup that started with the JFK murder. Whichever analysis you believe, there is certainly no evidence to prove or disprove either. The only thing that is certain is that such a series of quakes is extremely suspicious, especially in such a sensitive area as a secret weapons development site. And it isn't like this corrupt government hasn't pulled out all the stops and the mainstream media hasn't been complicit in covering up their crimes and sugarcoating their lies and bullshit stories in the past. Let's see what happens when we look up China Lake in Ridgecrest, California. Let's close this thing. And there it is. And we got this China Lake. Doesn't look like much of a lake. Looks like dry ground to me in the middle of the mountains. Right next to the Sequoia National Forest. A great place to put an underground military base. There's nobody around here anywhere. What's this here thing? Oh, that must be the lake. I doubt it. But that's what you get when you look at China Lake. What happened here? There it is. There's a center of what is called China Lake. Right there. Okay, I had to do that first. Okay, there's the area we're talking about. China Lake. And let's look at the latest earthquake data. Model, look at this thing. All centered on China Lake. Gigundous earthquakes. Gigundous earthquakes. Look at this. Unreal. These look like sequential explosions, or what they call secondary explosions. When you set off one, you get a whole bunch of other stuff blowing up after it. Over 420 sequential quote-unquote earthquakes after the initial 7.1 in less than 48 hours. And we see other quakes that are absolutely covered up by this one horrendous, big, gigundous spike of over 400 earthquakes since the 4th of July. And we see others up here north, not so intense. Around the globe, let's shrink this down so we can see. Globally, this is the biggest hotspot on the map. Biggest hotspot. I mean, you have earthquakes all the time. Most of them are inconsequential. But this one in California you see here with the 7.1 magnitude 21 hours ago, with over 420 sequential quakes afterwards, is an anomaly that cannot be explained. You don't see this anomaly on any other quake. Maybe one or two aftershocks is the most you'll see. Maybe three. Right here I count four. Right here I count four. Okay? And you can blow this up and you can see how many aftershocks follow these quakes. But none like this. None like this. I've used this app for years and I've never seen anything like this before. There's so many that they can't even clearly list them on the app. And I just think what some of the people are saying, that there are intentional underground explosions blowing up the Waffenfabrik under China Lake. Either the good guys are doing it or the bad guys are doing it. There's no way to know at this time. I believe this is happening as a distraction and as a cover-up for some crimes that were committed, maybe destroying some secret technology or some kind of dastardly shit, but this is not natural. Even though, as a layman, I can tell you that this is not natural, and I will bet dollars to donuts. And since dollars don't equal donuts, you know, if you go to Dunkin' Donuts, it'll cost you $3.50 for a large latte and a donut. I think I'm skewing the bet to my advantage, but this is something that I've never seen on this app. And this is just horrendous. Nowhere else do you see a series of quakes, aftershocks, after an earthquake, more than four. I've never counted more than four here in the last 2 days following, but this one here, over 420 aftershocks in less than 24 hours. I'm sorry, there's something not kosher in Denmark here. Hello, this is Dave from Net4Truth USA, Whirlwind Revolt. It is July 6th, 2019, 22:45 hours. By the time you see this, it'll probably be July 7th. We've seen multiple earthquakes in California that have alleged to be the deep state cover-up or the white hats' destruction of deep state weapons sites, or it could be that these explosions are blowing up tunnels that were used for child trafficking. Speculations abound with no proof of any of them, other than the fact that the earthquakes in California are a scientific anomaly never before seen, just as symmetrical collapse with asymmetrical damage 3 times in a row on a single day, on that fateful day of September 11th, 2001. Just over the wire, as I am doing this, we are learning that Jeffrey Epstein was arrested at JFK Airport as he landed from an overseas trip on charges of sex trafficking of minors in New York and Florida. He's done, folks. And when he's done, and when he sits down and sings like a canary, because all the charges added up would end up, his parole officer hasn't been born yet. He will sing like a canary, and heads will roll. He's got rosters, I'm sure, and tapes, I'm sure, and videos, I'm sure, going back many, many years of all these people he's had in his back pocket for so long for the deep state. This is all coming out. And for those Pizzagate poo-pooers, that's to you. That's for you. Because you don't know when to rest in the sufficiency of the evidence. I do. If you don't want to believe, then no amount of evidence will ever prove it to you. There's no amount of... When do you rest in the sufficiency of the evidence? And these earthquakes in California are definitely a scientific anomaly. I'm not a seismologist, but I know from whence I speak, you don't have 420 aftershocks after an earthquake within 21 hours, as I've just shown you on the earthquake app. You can check with the Geological Survey, and none of the mainstream, and when you do an earthquake, just Google search or DuckDuckGo or any browser you use, will all come up with mainstream media, and not one of them, if you scroll forever, not one of them will come up with alternative media coverage of the California earthquake. Gee, I wonder why. Come on, folks. If it hasn't sunk in yet, if you're a libtard and you're watching this video, this should be the red pill. This should be the straw that broke the camel's back to get you to walk away from this bullshit that you've been believing all these years, coming out of that boob tube that I have, and it's collecting dust. It's got dust on it because I never turn it on. I don't need to be bullshitted anymore. I've been bullshitted ever since November 22nd, 1963, and probably even before then. I know from whence I speak. I wrote a book on it. It's called Land of Childhood's Fears, and it just scratches the surface of what's happening today. And I wrote another fiction novel that I'm afraid to publish because 12 years ago, I wrote about the same things that are happening today. Maybe one of these days I'll finish it. I'll catch it up with the D-class information. I think after the D-class comes out, I can make this fictional 1984 style novel at least a little bit believable in terms of predicting future facts. But be that as it may, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, and I've been using that app for many years, that this is the first time I've ever seen 400 quakes in one spot within 21 hours. Now, that app only goes 24 hours, so whatever drops off, it's first in, first out. So after 24 hours, the 7.1 will probably drop off, and all the other ones will probably remain. But that's the way you figure out things that are not natural, that are man-made, obviously man-made, and the closeness to a naval weapons, secret weapons development facility should tell you something. Duh. Never mind if it's California. It would be, you know what? It would be even more believable if this would have happened on the East Coast. Because on the East Coast, you don't have 1,000 earthquakes a day. But being that it's in California, in more or less libtardistan, down in the middle of the desert, right next to the Sequoia National Forest, where there's miles and miles of nothing, The only other place on the East Coast that you could do something like that is probably the New Jersey Pine Barrens. 111,000 acres of nothing but sand and pine trees and sand roads that start nowhere and go nowhere. And years ago, before GPS and before they put the fire breaks up, you could walk into the Wharton Forest and never come out. So take this as my, insight. Something is being covered up or something is being destroyed. Either a deep state facility has been blown up by the white hats, or the black hats are destroying it on purpose to cover up some dastardly shit that they've been doing out there for years and years, because the D-class is imminent and they wanted to distract from the 4th of... They say they wanted to distract from the 4th of July celebration. They came, Nike with their Nike sneakers and all. What a fucking bunch of... Jesus H. Christ. If I ever... 20 years ago would have said anything about this stupidity, people would have locked me up and threw away the key. They would have sent an order of civil commitment to set me to Creammore because it's not touched in the head. But the shit that's happening today is beyond crazy. It's beyond insane. It's beyond being in a mental institution. These people are nuts. And they've been doing this wacky shit for a long time, and the mainstream media has been covering it up. They're right in bed with them. BBC, everybody, right in bed with them. And I tell you what, if you don't believe that the mainstream media is scripted, not only our mainstream media, but the mainstream media across the pond, all you have to do is look at the tape of 9/11 of Jane Stanley reporting that Building 7 fell 25 minutes before it happened. How does she know? Was she fucking Karnak or some shit? She's got a Ouija board or a crystal ball that she's looking into? No, she's reading from a script. They knew it was going to happen. They said nothing. That makes them accessory to 3,000 murders that happened on 9/11 in those buildings that day. And it makes them complicit in an ongoing act of treason that's been happening since JFK was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. And the British Crown helped spy on Trump. I guarantee you that's going to come out. Somebody should send a rocket up Queen Elizabeth's ass. This is Dave from Net4 Truth USA. Thank you for watching.
Please subscribe to our backup channels, Whirlwind Revolt, Inglorious Patriots, and Net4 Truth USA 2 Patriot channel. You can also find us at Net4 Truth USA on BitChute. We fly so close to the target, we're on our 4th fighter jet. We will be relentless truth seekers until the enemies of freedom are defeated.
You can support this channel by using the links in the description, but for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA.
If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you.
Links are in the description section.